These days, I walk to work. So today, as I was walking back to my flat from work, for some reason, I was thinking about libraries and I was thinking about them. I remembered our experience of borrowing books from our district library from our in our hometown, Bakuda. So Bakuda being the district town, we had a district library. It was decent. They had a decent collection of books. Of course, all of them were story books. There was no books on education or anything, but it had a decent collection. And there is a children's section, and we first enrolled to the children's section. So and we used to borrow books. Our favorites were detective stories by Feluda or written by Satyajit Ray, or other detective stories, or a translation of foreign classics into Bangla. There were Soviet books back then. So we used to borrow those books, and whenever we wanted something, we say we came to know about a new Feluda story, and we wanted that book. And when we used to get our hand on that book, that rush of joy, that feeling I remembered while working. I exactly remembered that feeling. And it was such a pleasure. And I remembered those back then, they all books, they used to bound them with cardboard and Rexin. And the front page had those lending records, a slip with the lending records. And the return date was printed there. So it will be like 17th Jan 84, for example, right? And I still remember that lending record vividly. I can visualize in front of my own eyes, even though there's no photo, but it's like the photo is stuck in my head. And that joy of reading, that joy of getting hold of a book, I believe that is what enabled me to be educated. Again, I have my own definition of education. I call someone educated if he reads 1,000 books. So I probably have read 1,000 books. So as per my definition, I can call myself educated. So I attribute my ability to be educated to that craving and desire to have a book, to read a book. And I still remember, as I said, we get the book and we come back home and start reading it. And we could read very fast back then, at least in Bangla. I mean, Bangla is the only thing we could read. And I could read very fast in Bangla. I still can read very fast in Bangla. I finish like a 100-page, 150-page Bangla book in an hour. That takes me in English about a month. So, and so I would come back home, and particularly in the winter days, I'll sit in the porch and start reading. And the sun will go down, it will become completely dark. But because I'm so concentrated that I wouldn't realize that it become completely dark, I could read it still. And then I lift my eyes and I look back again, it's completely dark. I can't read one thing, but I was reading up until then. That's the kind of concentration we had while reading. And now, when I read the book, every 10 seconds I reach out for the phone, I check this, I check message, I don't know. There are so much of distraction, and that's one of the reasons why it takes me months to finish any book. English is one reason for sure, but that's not the only reason. It's the lack of concentration that takes me months and months to finish a book. And I really regret that. I mean, it's not joy. I mean, when you're not into it. I mean, back then, a book for us was a passport to another world. We could enter the world of the writer. We could communicate with the writer. We could talk to the writer. That was the kind of concentration we had. I mean, we could almost walk into the world of that book, through the book, into that different world. These days, that does not happen anymore. And that is not a very happy affair, because I don't have too many pleasures left in life. That's reading books is one of those pleasures, and this is I have lost a big part of it. Now I don't have to borrow books. Back then the books were old, crumpled. I still love them. Now I have brand new books coming from Amazon, smelling the paper, brand new books. But how often do I read them? My house is full of all my books that I have collected, but how many have I read them? Not many. I definitely plan to read them before I die, but haven't read them yet. But what I do have is I still have that love affair for books. I still really felt that joy when I hold a book. And whenever I order something from Amazon, anything that I like, say for example, even if I order a phone, it comes. Sure, I get pleasure. I open it, I like it, and then I toss it aside and move on to something else. But books are different. Whenever a book arrives, somehow I wait for it. I somehow look forward to it when it will arrive. And when it does arrive, immediately I rip up when other things sit there for days before I open the parcel and see what it is. But for book, I immediately rip it open and again, I don't read them, but at least I hold it, I smell it, I read a few pages at least around, and I have that still that love affair for books. And this phone is a real distractor. So, so yeah, I mean, I want to share that experience. And a lot of these kids these days, they probably haven't seen library. Everybody has enough money now to buy books. They don't need to borrow from library. But that was some experience. I mean, I think it is one of the most not one of those few treasured memories that are stuck in my head. Thanks for watching.